Momentum allows us to quickly model our information as structured data based on schema.org dictionary. Very important thing is that the resulting output is a live and dynamic HTML prototype. For the matter of demonstration, let's take one of the simplest possible models that exist, and it's a blog. In this model, we have a blog posting that can have author who is a person. So let's jump straight into the new project in order to reproduce this simple ontology. We'll start with creating a new collections. And when creating a new collection, we have a full schema.org hierarchy at our disposal. So let's find a blog posting. We just created a new collection. Let's do the same for the person. And let's rename these collections into something more suitable, such as posts, and these will be authors. On the right side, we can always see the original schema.org classes out of which these collections were created. And now let's expand the properties of a blog posting collection. And we can find there the list of all properties available from schema.org for this class. For the matter of simplicity, let's take just a few properties. For example, article body and let's say description. We can select as many properties as we want, but we are fine with a few of these right now. So let's visit now the page that represents our collection of posts, and it's a /posts. And we call this one an index page, as we would expect to see here the real post items. So in order to create our first content items, let's bring the themes toolbar. We can select plus and add new item. We are immediately redirected to the page of newly created item. And now let's explore something interesting. Let's turn on the schema visual helper. We can see that our HTML is already semantically annotated. What we want to do next is to enhance this HTML prototype with other properties from our blog posting collection. And in order to do that, we will turn on the render panel. Now let's select this HTML render, and we can see all available properties from our collection. So let's select description and then article body. And they're immediately rendered on the page. Now let's make some HTML corrections, and let's say we want to render name as h1, and also we want to render a description as a paragraph. And since article body is going to be a rich text editor, we are okay to leave it as a div. And the next thing that is good to know is that Vim CMS is attached to each element of our HTML render, so we can modify the content directly on the page. So let's modify the title of this blog post. We can see that the slug is auto-corrected, so we have a new URL based on the name. So let's also insert some content for description. And let's do the same for the article body. For the article body, we have a rich text editor attached by default, so let's do some more formatting here. Let's say we want to say this is h2, and this we will leave as a paragraph. It's a good thing to know that having a rich text editor attached to the article body is actually a configurable option. So if we need it, we can render article body to a different themes module. We can select any of available modules that are available based on expected type of this property from schema. Let's quickly create a few more blog posts. and another one. And now if we go back to the index page of posts, we can see there are 3 blog posts that we created. And now let's switch the focus to authors. And on the index page of authors, there are no content items at the moment. So let's create a new author. And let's name it Richard Mouse. Let's quickly set the HTML render for the author. So let's render the name as H1 and let's include the description of the author and image. So this is what we'll see when we visit the page of the concrete author. And let's create one more author. Let's name it John Doe. And when we visit the index page of authors, we can see our created authors. So far, we created collections for blog posting and person and set their properties. And now we want to make author relation between these two collections. And in order to do that, let's find the author property between the properties of blog posting. And now let's find the HTML render for blog posting. Since the expected type for the property author is another schema class, we can see that it's immediately recognized as an outbound relation. And since the authors is the only collection of type person, we can see that we are offered to have the authors as a relation for the author. So let's select it. And we can see that this relation is immediately rendered. As we've just created this relation on the page, there are still no concrete authors related to this blog posting. In order to do that, we will use Themes toolbar as a part of CMS and find our available authors. So let's say we want to connect Richard Mouse as an author to this article. Let's also visit other posts and set authors for each of them. So let's set again Richard Mouse. And let's do the same for the last one. We can navigate to the page of this author. So here it is. But it's a good thing to notice here that this HTML render is different than this one that is rendered as a relation. So if we click to explore this one, we see that it's author's liner. And actually, if we pay attention here, we can see that author is actually rendered as a liner. This brings us to the point that actually for each collection created within a structure, we have at our disposal 4 different HTML renders: view, preview, teaser, and liner. So if this is the liner that contains a minimum possible information, then gradually view will be the render that contains a full information about an entity. And the similar thing is for posts renders. Here we can see that we explore the posts view, but as soon as we go to the posts index page and explore the render, we can see that this is posts preview. So it means that on the index page of posts we can as well include other properties. If we want, we can show description even here or even authors. So if we check authors, we will see that each blog post shows its related author. And the last thing we want to do is when we go to the author page, we want to show all the articles that were written by this author. So let's switch one more time to our chart. As we could see, when we selected the author property on a blog posting, it was immediately recognized as an outbound relation. But now, if we take a look from another side, for person, author is actually an inbound relation. Knowing this, let's expand the properties of authors collection and let's find inbound properties, and among them we'll certainly see an author. Let's check it. And now we can use it in HTML render. So if we select this render, we can see among inbound relations that there is author which relates to posts and its render is index, which means it's a list. And when we select this property, we can see that system immediately recognized the content of our relation, and all blog posts that were written by Richard Mouse are shown here. Now let's turn off for the moment our visual helpers to see the real look of our page. We can see that we probably want to use some label here to say that these are latest articles or something like that. So in order to do this, we can simply use the static HTML elements. So let's say we want to use h2 here, and we can say here latest articles. Let's turn off visual helpers. This looks a bit better. So as we can see, we ended up with a fully functional HTML prototype of a website. We have posts and we have authors of the posts, and we can navigate easily from page to page. And the most important thing is that we finished up with the fully annotated website by semantics of schema.org.